Hi guys, so today we're in a Bentley Flying Spur. It's a 6 litre petrol. It's on a 2014 and it's an absolute beast. It's been to Onyx and it's had a slight body kit change on it. Its wheels are stunning on it. Inside it's very original and very stock with the sort of Bentley luxury that you would expect. We've got the Breitling clock up front. You know, the infotainment system's nice. It's based around obviously the Volkswagen kit. It sounds absolutely phenomenal. There's carbon fibre, there's a dark blue leather everywhere, as you can see on these seats with the Bentley logo on. Got the sunroof with the blind, we've got the leather roof. The back seats look nice. It's a lovely place to be. So let's take it for a spin. Just knock some windscreen wipers on. I was saying what the then because I'd not been in this before, and I just caught it then, and the flappy paddles in this really are something else. I'll show you when we stop. But the flappy paddles are like big sticks almost. And being a Bentley, you'd expect a certain level of luxury, and what I always find strange with these, I mean, we've got the nice little pull handles for the ventilation system, which is great, and there's something about this car that reminds you of Bentleys from the original Bentleys and the sort of from the turn of the 20th century, and they're absolutely stunning. The way they've done the gear shifter harks back to that. Like I said, the controls of the ventilation, the brushed aluminium on the dashboard and on the door cards, accompanied by that blue leather. They're a nice place to be. They're a luxurious place to be. Whilst it's a very classy place to be and it feels very luxurious, we've not got tons of bells and whistles. It's on air suspension. We've got heated and cooled leather seats, so I suppose what more do you need really? I suppose you could argue. We've not got the heated steering wheel on this. It's not all about the bells and whistles with the Bentley, it's more about the luxury. And as I said, this has been to Onyx, so it's got a bit of a body kit on the outside, and it's more sort of a younger guy's car rather than a traditional gentleman with a pipe smoking, who drives a Bentley of years gone by. So it's been made very modern, but inside still, as I said, goes back to the traditional Bentley look. I mean, the sound of this thing, the sound of the exhaust at the back of this thing as I'm driving, I'm not giving it any beans at all, just tickling it as we're going along, just nice and gentle on the throttle. You can feel it changing through the gears, but not in a bangy, crashy way. You can just feel that gear change. But I think sometimes we all want this really smooth gear change that we don't even feel. There's something quite nice about feeling this gear change, and I say feel. You can hear more than you can feel. You can hear the drop in tone, the engine tone changing as we change gear, and it's a beautiful sound. And then again, if I touch the throttle slightly, you hear it dip, and it gives it it really does give it the beans. I mean, this thing's around 500 brake. The power that comes with that is instantaneous, and it's there whenever you need it. We have got the flappy paddles should we wish to manually override, and we've also got the Tiptronic on the gearbox, so we can knock it across and we can manually override the gears with the actual stick. We've got the Bentley B on the clocks, and we've got what they call we've not got the wing B on the bonnet of this, because that was, you still see that now on something like a Bentley Arnage maybe, where you've got the two wings attached to the back of the capital B. But this has actually got the flat B on the bonnet with the wings, and this was actually the original logo when the guy created Bentley back in the early 20th century. He didn't have much money for a logo at the time, and this is what he came up with and just put on them. And then it wasn't until a few years later they actually had that really imposing, almost the Bentley equivalent of the Spirit of Ecstasy on the Rolls Royce, designed and put onto the cars then. But this was the original logo, so there's that heritage everywhere you turn in this blue leather feels very, very expensive and very nice. The colour's nice, and it's nice to touch and nice to grab, and we've got the armrest here lifts up, and we've got space for the docking of a mobile phone, which I know in this day and age we don't really dock phones, but that lifts up and we've got storage inside. just think they're a very, very, whilst not, it's quite understated. I think, like, for example, we've got buttons down here for the heated and the cooled seating, and, you know, everything's automatic, windscreen wipers, lights, all that sort of stuff. But we've not got, it doesn't shout at you, look at all this tech. It's very understated and discreet, and it's there if you need it. I mean, these sun visors are just a very thin sun visor, completely quilted in leather, as is the headlining, and you just think they've done it right. They really have done it right. They've not tried to be overly flashy. It's very understated. It's got all the kit that it needs, but it's understated and it's discreet, and it's there when it's needed. But it's more about the luxury and the ride quality than the screaming tech, in my opinion. It's got the navigation. It's got the the basic infotainment system. It's based on Volkswagen. Now, I drove a Continental GT of 2005 a while back, and that was very Volkswagen inside to me. There was a lot of, the infotainment system was Volkswagen, the switchgear was very Volkswagen, and it was, I don't know, I think around that era there was so much crossover between that and Volkswagen. Whereas I think the more modern ones have done away with that Volkswagen thing. One thing you do see in here is, if you look down at the switchgear for the air suspension and for the heated seats and the chill seats and stuff, it's plastic, which the controls for the ventilation are plastic. They've got the sort of knurled silver turn switching on them, but the plastic, and I think that sort of cheapens it. When you look everywhere else, is the sort of brushed aluminium, the really expensive blue leather that feels so nice. Even the black gloss on the dash as well looks good, with the Breitling watch, the Breitling clock in the middle. I mean, that really does finish it off. That's stunning. But I think they could have done without the plastic, really. I don't think there's any need for the plastic that they've included. But aside from that, they really have turned it out well. Now, I know Bentley are very selective about what leather they choose for their vehicles, and I think Rolls-Royce are as well. So what they tend to do is they tend to choose cows that are grazing in the mountains of Europe. And the reason they do this is the high altitude stops the flies. There's not as many flies. There's not as many imperfections in the cow's leather that they've chose. And they're very, very picky with the leather they choose as well. It's not a case of, yeah, that'll do. It's a case of, no, that's absolutely perfect, therefore that can go in the car. And they really do take a lot of time and effort and detail to that. This vehicle itself's not got wood in it, but a lot of the Bentleys and the Rolls Royces do have wood in them, and again, they're very choosy with the trees, and I think in this day and age, maybe not in the past, but in this day and age now, they've got to ensure that they're ethically sourced, so they only take wood from a tree that's fell, and they replant a tree to replace it once they've taken a tree. So, there is that ethic responsibility, I suppose, manufacturers have got now, but they're still making sure they've got the right wood. So I suppose you may go to Bentley and say, right, okay, I want a bespoke Flying Spur and I want it to have this wooden interior, and they might say, well, we're going to build that as a factory build for you, but actually that's not available at the moment. We've not got any of that wood because the right wood in the right quality is not available right now. So it's up to you. You can take it, but you can place the order, but you might have to wait 2 or 3 years, and we can't actually give you a date for it, or you can choose a different sort of wood. Whereas I think if you went to Mercedes and said, I want a certain wood veneer inside it, they'd say, no problem, we can get that, because a lot of it's man-made, it's not genuine wood anyway, and if it is, it's a case of, it's just wood. Whereas with this, they really are stringent on making sure it's the right piece of wood, and it's, it looks the part. I think my favourite feature of the car has to be these little pulls for opening the ventilation system. I just think, rather than the horrible dials we're used to in every car we come across, I just think these little pulls really are something else. They're really something special. They sort of remind me a bit in a way of the ventilation system on a Land Rover Defender, not the brand new one, but the older ones where you had the vents that you sort of lifted up and down, and you lifted them up if you wanted some wind to come through the dash, and you shut them down if you didn't. They sort of remind me a little bit of that, which is nice. The key's quite nice, and there's a place in the dash to put the key and turn it to start the engine, but you've also got the engine start stop button in the centre console. I've always been a little bit perplexed with Bentleys with that, thinking, which one do I do, which one should I do, what's the situation? I don't know why they've sort of opted for the two. But either way, like I say, everything about this car feels very, very special. It's, if you look at the review I've done of the Range Rover SV Autobiography, that oozed luxury and it oozed tech. Whereas, aside from the noise this thing's making, and the body kit that make it stand out, Bentleys I think are very understated, and they just sort of, they go along quietly and are in a really nice place to be. As I said, this has been modified somewhat, so you know, someone wants this to stand out, they want it to make a noise, and they want the luxury to go with it, and you know, it's a stunning place to be. We've got the rear entertainment in this model as well, which I'll show you in a bit. And in the back, you've got controls for things like opening your window and opening the passenger window. I've done a video on the Bentley Ventake as well, which again has got a lot more controls in the back. But the rear entertainment in this, and there's no shortage of legroom in the back of this vehicle, really do make for a lovely place to be for a passenger and for a driver and a front passenger as well, I suppose. I think the clocks are quite nice as well. They're sort of not digital, they're analog, but they've got a digital look to them, and they just, the way they're lit up with the backlights, the white backlights and the orange, and they just look very special. And not flash though either. I don't think anything about this car inside is flash. I think it's nice, it's understated. I think they've done a really, really excellent job of making something that makes you feel special and that's expensive and that's luxurious, but without being flashy in your face. As I said, the outside of this, the previous owners had this, it's Onyx and it's got the wrap on it, so the outside looks flash, and the outside would make you think, oh, it's pulled up here. But on the inside, you don't get that. You just get a nice, and I'm glad really that I do like the Onyx body kits, and I like the matte wraps personally. Some people don't, but I do like the fact that whilst they've done that, they've left the interior untouched, because a lot of people take them to these tuning houses and customization houses, and they have the seats changed and the stitching changed and the carpets and mats changed and everything sort of Onyx about the vehicle, or everything Project Card about the vehicle. This hasn't been. It's been left completely untouched inside, and you really do appreciate it, and you think it's stunning. It really is. On the outside, we've got some very, very low profile tyres on the wheels, and they almost look like they could be flat, you know, when you look at them. So we'll have a quick nosy at them as well. I mean, this vehicle definitely turns heads and draws attention wherever it goes. Aside from the fact that it looks stunning on the outside and looks special and something different, it also sounds special. It really does. It attracts attention in the noise it's making. Again, I think this sort of blue leather on the steering wheel really is nice. And the switchgear here is nice. These are these crazy floppy pedals that I was referring to before. Key goes in there, it's a nice key. This is just, as I said, my favourite part of the car. I think that really is something else. A lot of nice polished chrome here to control the front and rear windows, filler cap and boots. Again, that Breitling clock there in the centre is absolutely stunning. I think it really is. It really says this is Bentley, you know, with the gear selector with the B on that you press down to engage your gear. I just think that's nice and fancy. This is interesting that we've got the controls for the wing mirrors down here. Normally they're sort of on the driver's door, but they're down here. And when we've got start stop button, we've got heated and chilled seats, controls for the air suspension, hazard switch. I really like the handbrake switch in this. I think that was really nice. And then as we go into the back, you know, really nice, luxurious blue leather seats. So as we get in the back on this thing, we've got the rear entertainment here. We've got this nice little, you can press that and eject it. Nice little tablet device, and that can control the, you know, the rear climate control. We've got heated and cooled seats in the back. This really is a nice, put that back in. I locks itself back in place. The stunning thing, we've got the nice ventilation vents here. If we pan across here, you can see the controls for both sides windows. The sound system, which is that it's got the name sound system by Bentley. Ventilation here, it's just a gorgeous place to be. Again, we've got all the adjustments here on the seats, so we can recline these rear seats. We can lift them up in the air. I mean, again, now I'm in a really luxurious, comfortable position. We've got a gorgeous headlining and a lot of control up there for lighting, and nice leather grab handles in the back. This finish just continues throughout, which is absolutely stunning. Got the coat hooks here on the side. So that's it for today's video on the Bentley Flying Spur. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all very soon.